Water has become something that we're paying a lot more attention to over the years. We've certainly had water waste bans on for the last few years, and we've all become more cognizant of it. I suggest thinking about every time you turn on the water, could I be doing this better? Do I have to run the water as hard as I am? Do I have to run it as fast? Could I instead put water in a bowl and use that to wash things rather than continuously running the water? Another thing to think about is reusing water. If you have, for instance, you find a glass of water that's sitting in the house that's half full, or if you had a reusable water bottle that you travel with, often when I come home it still has some water in it, and rather than dumping it down the drain, I will pour it on my nearest houseplant. Ever since I started doing that, my houseplants have lived much longer. One of the things we don't think about in our modern lives is we get into the shower, we turn on the water to warm it up, and then flip it to the shower head. But that gallon of water that escapes us while we are trying to get it up to temperature could be useful. So if you have anything outdoors that you would like to water in the summertime, but you can't because of the water ban, I suggest capturing that with a bucket in the shower and then taking it out and pouring it on your favorite plant or vegetable. You should be aware that they have come up with some very clever ways to save water nowadays. So there's shower heads that will use a lot less water. It's much more air, and toilets that flush with a lot less water than they used to, I mean by half or less. And in general, be looking for things for your faucets that could cause your water to go further, and it still feels like the same pressure, there's just less water coming out as fast. It's a way to conserve on a grand scale if you have several family members. A number of household appliances are also made for water efficiency now. So for instance, you can get a dishwasher and it takes longer, but at the same time uses much less water than your average dishwasher would. Drinking water is something everybody wonders about, and people tend to think that bottled water is better than what's coming out of the tap. Maybe it tastes better to them. But the fact is that you can save a lot of money on bottled water and a lot of plastic by not buying that bottled water if you were to put in your own water system at your tap. A lot of times it comes with a second smaller faucet, and there's filters underneath. You can pick the filters that you want so the water is as clean as you want it to be. That's one way to maximize the water you're already paying for. Another is to use a filter that you would either leave on the counter or in the refrigerator. You pour the water in the top, you let it settle down, and it chills in the refrigerator and waits for you. And that is also filtering out a lot of the things you wouldn't want, including taste in your water. That is a much more sustainable way to get your water, your drinking water, as opposed to buying it bottled. And just because it's in a bottle does not mean it's better. It means it is less tested. The Department of Public Works, who brings water to your house, tests that water regularly and for a number of different things, whereas the bottled water is an unknown. Largely, they don't have the same testing, they don't have the same proof of what is in it or not in it as the water coming out of your tap. The DPW does a great job.